It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Gina Trapani's back. Mike Elgan joins us. Jeff Jarvis is here. We'll run down all the great stuff that happened at Google I.O., take a tour in cardboard VR, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned. This Week in Google is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 303, recorded June 3rd, 2015. Cardboard in the classroom. This Week in Google is brought to you by SmartThings. SmartThings lets you monitor, control, and automate your home from wherever you are using your smartphone. Right now, SmartThings is offering This Week in Google listeners 10% off selected kits and get free shipping in the U.S. when you go to smartthings.com/twig and use the offer code TWIG at checkout. And by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting and invoicing solution designed to help small business owners save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at freshbooks.com/twig. And by LegalZoom. If you're looking to get a trademark, copyright, or provisional patent application or more, LegalZoom can help you get started right away. LegalZoom's not a law firm, but can connect you with an independent attorney. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code TWIG in the referral box at checkout for your special discount. Time for Twig This Week in Google. And look who's back, Gina Trapani. Yay, Gina Trapani.
Hi. Good to see you.
Once a month, we are blessed with Gina's presence because, of course, she's got her own dang startup. She's very busy doing
That old thing.
doing Think Up, but it's going great, I could tell.
It's going well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is the first. Well, we got to do the I/O keynote together last week.
That was fun. Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
That was really fun. Yeah.
I was actually jealous I wasn't on the air with you guys.
Did you want to join? Oh, you were in the I/O.
I was in there. I was there, yeah.
Jeff Jarvis is here from the City University of New York, where he's a professor of journalism, buzzmachine.com. He's written the book, What Would Google Do? And many others, including Public Parts and his latest Geek Sparing Gifts. And you were at Google I/O.
I was at Google I/O.
Fun. So was Mike Elgan, our news director.
Yep.
And he's here too.
Jason Howell.
And Jason Howell, our producer.
Woohoo!
And technical director. So, golly.
You're surrounded by I/O.
Yes. Surrounded by people who have the new cardboard.
Yeah, there you go. I am really close now. I held off ordering the Gear VR. I have a Samsung Galaxy S6, but I think now I'm going to order it because because it's more comfortable than cardboard. It has a strap.
Oh, yeah.
For one thing, it's a strap-on, so you can leave it on. I shouldn't. Oh, my doorbell's ringing. I hate it when that happens. I am a little too wired now. But I think that I've kind of come around on the VR thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's cardboard that did it, not Oculus Rift.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
It's the VR for the people and the augmented reality for the people, because it's going to. And I think one of the coolest things that they showed at the event, Google I/O, during the keynote, was this new program to get cardboard into schools.
Yes.
And it's such a perfect solution because it's not like, Apple's plan to get iPads into schools so that every school has to pay $600 or whatever dollars.
But wait a minute.
It's cheap.
Cardboard's cheap, but what's driving it, and the reason it's cheap, is you still need a smartphone.
Yes,
but
you do.
Where's that coming
Kids
from?
all got them now. It's
no. Kids don't all got them, and especially below 6th grade, in K through 6.
Well, what they showed was boxes that had the smartphones in them. So I'm guessing that people will donate.
They cost the same as an iPad.
Well, it depends on what phone you get, right? I mean, there are definitely less expensive options.
What's the minimum iPad? What's the minimum cardboard?
It says, well, like I bought my. You don't need a phone connection. You're on Wi-Fi at school.
Okay, so you could get what then?
What if it was like an Android One?
Android One for under
$99? $100?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, you said that kids under the age of, I've been reading a lot of stuff lately that shows that in the United States, at least, a huge percentage of even 6th graders have phones and carry them every day to school. And so it'll be one of those things where they'll say, okay, who's got their own phone? Okay, who doesn't have a phone? And then they can pass out the schools' phones for this purpose, but the benefit is that as they talked about in the presentation, it's a way to get kids really super engaged, to actually immerse them in the content that they're talking about rather than just sitting there listening to a teacher go on and on. I think the value is massive, and the additional cost, I think, can be very, very low. Of course, Palo Alto School District will spend a fortune on brand new phones for all of them.
That's kind of my point. This happens all the time. The tech community gets all excited, puts hardware into schools, or sets us kind of stuff up and says, "Hey, see you later, bye-bye." And there's no curriculum, there's no training for the teachers. And in this case, there's this assumption that everybody's got an Android or a high-end smartphone.
I think they'd all have to be school issued because the teacher is controlling them from the tablet, right? So they've all got to be school issued for this to be.
This is not a cheap thing you're talking about here.
If they roll this out well, they're gonna focus on lower income. The kids that really need it. You know what I mean? So I hope we're gonna see things like Donors Choose, and we're gonna see other programs. Hopefully, Google's gonna throw money, in places other than Palo Alto and figure out ways to help people.
Google has a very compelling argument in the schools. I mean, the Chromebook is, of course, the best way to put a computing platform in a school. But I'm not, everybody focuses on the fact that it's just the viewer is cheap.
Well, but I think
the viewer is just a holder.
Right. But the way to look at this, I think, is that the alternative to something like Google Cardboard, the alternative to low-cost VR and augmented reality is nothing. It's not going to get cheaper than this. In order to do VR, you have to have a good display. You have to have some sort of connection. You have to have all the things that a smartphone has. And there are very few industries that have the economies of scale, entire industries, entire countries that have been built, that have built industries around making all that stuff super, super cheap. And so it's basically the only alternative argument to, if the argument is that this is too expensive, then virtual reality has no place in schools.
Well, that may be another argument.
Yeah,
it's the cheapest virtual reality you can get.
Well said, Mike. Yeah.
So a rubber wading pool would also be the cheapest pool you could get. Doesn't necessarily mean that this belongs to the schools. And there's a whole additional thing of, so you've got, let's say you figured out a way to get all the kids cardboard. Now you got to get the teacher a tablet. And you got to get curriculum associated with it. Remember the LA Unified School District said they were going to put an iPad in the hands of every student. They made a deal with Pearson to develop curriculum, and it's been a horrible failure. They're suing both Apple and Pearson. The curriculum wasn't developed. The teachers weren't trained. Most of these iPads ended up in the back of the classroom unused. It kind of makes me mad because I think Silicon Valley and we tech enthusiasts love this idea of tech in schools, but we don't follow through. We don't go the whole distance on it,
Yeah, that's true.
Another thing here, though, Leo, is that if you look at an elementary school, it's not like every classroom needs a setup. Right, one setup for an entire
I agree.
School.
You're buying one per class, right? You're buying a class.
You buy one per school.
Yeah,
and Paulson just gave $400 million to Harvard, the last school on the earth that possibly needs it.
No, I agree.
Generosity had out there. And
equipping the school is probably the least of the problem.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is the first thing to buy at all. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Museum of Natural History was at I/O. They did one of the explorations. I'm going through the same thing in news. People are going gaga over VR, and I'm saying, well, hold on. It really hasn't had any impact yet. We really have, it's the latest new shiny toy. What's its real value going to be? Undetermined. Nonetheless, yes, we go gaga and we say, that's cool.
I'm excited. I want to build a jump camera. That's the 16 GoPro or 16. It doesn't have to be GoPros, but that's the demo. 16 camera rig that GoPro will sell, but you could also build yourself, and then the jump software assembles it. And my sense is you could do this in real time, which means I could say to our audience, watch live. You can download the show later, but if you'd like to watch live as if you're in the studio with us, we have set up one of these rigs right where you would be sitting, and now you can look around and participate.
Oh, that's interesting. You can imagine a whole different kind of talk show.
Yeah.
Where it's not just a camera going to one level, it's that you're in the middle of couches of a discussion.
Right.
You know,
we look around as people talk. That's cool. Yeah.
Well, you know, imagine a round table like the kind that Alex Lindsay built for other purposes for conversations, and you have it in the middle of the table.
Yeah, we could do that.
And that's
I like that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? And then you hear somebody talking over here, so you turn this way and so on.
That's very
By
cool.
the way, and Dr. Mom's saying, "Oh, great, Twit's going to now make me barf." Believe me, I get nauseous with Oculus Rift. Absolutely, I've never gotten nauseous with. I'm not sure why with cardboard, but I think it's because you're not moving, and the thing isn't. It's not. You don't have this situation you do in Rift where you're not moving physically, but you're moving virtually. That is disorienting to the inner ear. That is what makes you nauseous. I think there's also latency issues. I'm sure that's not necessarily solved in cardboard, but I never was bothered by it, partly because you can just go like this.
Yeah, right.
You're not going to really spend hours. You're not playing a game. The games are what makes you nauseous, frankly.
Right.
My wife has inner ear vertigo problems, and so Jake and I were showing her cardboard, and I tell you, 3 seconds, and she said, "Oh."
Okay.
Yeah.
It threw her.
Then it maybe will make you nauseous.
Yeah.
They're telling me to pronounce it nauseous.
But
isn't that jump rig a reason to have a reporter on the scene, Jeff? The reporter in the wind getting blown away, or
with the special helmet with the rig around the
wash
helmet.
your mouth out. No.
Jeff hates local news stand-ups.
No, but I mean, like an Insta expedition, you know, where here, come to the scene. This is where it was. It'd be kind of interesting from a news perspective.
Yeah. Apparently, Hockey Night in Canada has done this.
Really?
Yeah, you can look to the two different team benches. Somebody in the chat room's telling me that.
They should use this instead of the puck. Imagine the view you get.
Ow! Stop hitting me. Okay, I should be saying nauseated, not nauseous, according to Dr. Mom. They're two different things.
And by the way, this is one of the reasons why augmented reality is absolutely going to rule over virtual reality, because
you don't get nauseous.
Exactly. You're seeing
or nauseated.
Exactly. You're seeing objects being placed in the real world, but you still see the real world, which satisfies your inner whatever.
By the way, cardboard can't be used as augmented reality, but things like the Gear VR can, because the Gear VR can use pass-through with the camera. So you put your phone there. I don't know why they didn't do this with cardboard, but
pair of scissors and you could
just cut a hole.
the camera. I think one of the reasons is that they are trying to be ultra compatible with all the phones,
right?
And they don't know where the camera hole is.
Some can't. So you could buy one for your specific phone that would work.
I would
think
you
so,
can,
or just cut a hole.
No software.
No, I think it's already much of the software will do that.
It actually asks for permission to use your camera when you install the app.
Yeah. So that maybe is just this cardboard that doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't do that. There are many cardboards in the world.
Can you buy the second generation cardboard out there already?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Google has a site. Google, at least on their site, says get a viewer, and shows.
Well, they're selling them.
Well, they have buy it links on all of these. Let me check. So let's look. The ViewMaster was the Mattel one. That probably is not yet out.
Dotocase.com has the new one.
That's easy, right?
Yeah.
So this is ViewMaster. See, this I could see in schools.
Yeah. See, the Dotocase has
not out yet.
Devices that have the camera exposed. Cardboard kits that have the camera exposed.
Right.
For augmented reality. They also have a virtual reality hat where the cardboard hangs from the brim of a baseball hat.
How about this one? This is the Knox aluminum VR viewer, the only machined and crafted metal VR viewer with a hint of wood.
$85.
Well, but that's cheap compared to an Oculus Rift, which will be probably $500 or $600.
The problem with it is I just want one where it doesn't show your forehead grease.
Okay, you're going to like this one. This is the one we have these lying around somewhere. Yeah. This is the CI or C1 glass, $22. It's very lightweight. It folds up because basically it's just a plastic frame that holds it. So
do all these now fit 6-inch phones?
Well, you'd have to get one that's compatible with your phone.
This one says Nexus 6.
Yeah.
Yes, but these are all third-party vendors. I'm looking at store.google.com, and I don't see Google themselves selling it unless I'm missing it.
Well, I can buy.
Right. They never sold it. They just published the plans.
Yes.
That's right.
And that's by the way, the other way to do it is just to get your 3D printer out and download the plans and make your own. Damn it, That's what you should do if you're a real VR user.
Real maker geek.
Real maker geek.
And of course, we were treated once again to the site at Google I/O of a large number of people all using some sort of virtual reality, and people always look like idiots.
Yeah,
like staring into space, especially in a group.
You really want to do this in the privacy of your own home.
Yeah.
You have a picture? Let me look. Okay, let me go plus.
Let me see if it's
.google.com/plus Jeff Jarvis. Let's see if I can find it. You know what? This is good because we covered, and if you didn't watch, you probably should watch our Twit Live special Google I/O coverage. Gina and I and Aaron Newcomb and Ron Richards. Not there. But so you should know, and then Mike suggested, and I think it was a brilliant idea, that we also air the next day the ATAP, the Advanced Technology Group of video.
Yeah.
That was really cool. I was excited about many of the things I saw there. But let's get the experience of, oh, here we go. Yeah, you got the picture up.
Oh, there it is.
Nerds.
This is straight out of Wall-E.
And you thought people texting in restaurants was antisocial.
Oh, I'm depressed.
Wow.
And then here's the better. So at the Google party, I guess because of noise regulations in San Francisco, they had to turn the music off at 9 o'clock, so they distributed wireless headsets to everyone. So they were all bopping to the music that you couldn't hear.
I've seen that
all
before,
they needed was that, too.
Headphone
And it would have
concerts.
been the ultimate Google experience to make fun of for the world.
Yeah. Now, you know, it's funny. Galaxy, the Samsung folks did a demo of Galaxy VR for Nicole Lee at Engadget. And one of the things they said, it's really a wonderful social experience. Because one of the things they have on the Galaxy VR is the ability to watch a movie. Right. And you're actually in a movie theater. You could see empty seats around you. You can look at the screen, look behind you. And they said, it's so cool when 3 or 4 of you are sitting around with your – now, the nice thing is at least you could strap this on. You don't have to hold it. Watching a movie, and you could talk to each other about what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate people who talk in movies. I hate that.
What? Wait a second. Going to the movie theater in my own home means that I'm sitting in front of my TV on my couch. Like, I don't need to see an empty theater surrounding me.
I know. Well, that's what you're going to see for a while with all of this VR is a lot of stuff, stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And of course, Mark Zuckerberg says that someday the future of Facebook is in virtual reality. You'll be just hanging out with people in virtual reality.
Wait.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Aunt Gladys, nice to see you. Right. How's the hip?
I'll actually see.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Hey, look, a cat.
I am going to order one of these Gear VR helmets.
Yeah.
So they said on a plane, and this is a good use for it. If you really want to get nauseated,
yes,
get on a plane, put on your Gear VR, and sit back. Just don't go like this to your person sitting next to you.
Actually, an airplane is a perfect place for that because they have a little barf bag right there.
Right there. You're ready.
Yeah.
I would actually wear one of those on a plane. That I would do.
Yeah, isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Isolate, right. It's the one place that you just want to be as far away as possible from everyone.
You know what the killer app is for that? It's an app that simulates you being in first class.
Yes, that's when you want to believe that the seat next to you is empty.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. You look down, your knees are not pressing up against the seat in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, F and Dunn. F and Dunn's. Oh, you're not here. He says his Gear VR is over on the. He leaves it on the table, on his desk.
Couldn't Samsung have made that for more units than their own phone?
Why should they?
That's not their. That's not how they roll.
They would have sold more of them.
Well, first of all, they say that this is like a beta project. They don't even say this is the finished thing.
They want to be Apple. They want you to have complete buy-in to the Samsung universe in order for you to use it. Yeah,
how's that working?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's more software because Samsung has its own software suite for its own VR.
Yeah, that's what they want to sell right there.
Sell the software?
No, the phone.
Well, yeah. Why not? In fact, this is specific to a Galaxy S6.
Yep.
And the other one is specific to the Note. But don't forget, this is an Oculus Rift device.
Exactly.
It says Oculus on it, even though it works with cardboard. Oh. So there's kind of this. I think that's good. That means there's going to be kind of a.
Yep.
And YouTube is going to support this, right?
Yep.
In fact, I think I can. Can I do now? I can do YouTube stuff on this if I turn on my cardboard.
You can. You can do Google Maps stuff as well.
Neat.
Yeah.
So there is a section now in the Play Store for cardboard. Get more cardboard apps.
And by the way, the thing we're looking at on the screen is the Jump platform, which is the back end. Yeah, and this is really sophisticated stuff. People dial into the thing that holds the cameras, and that of course, is open sourced. And you can essentially build your own depending on what cameras you're using. Not you, the user, but like companies that have cameras can do this. GoPro did it. But the really amazing part is the massive data crunching behind the scenes to take all these disparate live video streams and to create new 3D surround video. That is very complex and very computationally expensive and complex. And so that's the part that's really the magic here, I think.
Yeah, you know, Mike, I think the untold story of I/O was for that and photos and so much else. Yeah. It was really about deep learning, AI, large neural networks. Only Google, I think, can do what they're demonstrating here. The fact that major computing power has become trivial to them.
All right,
to do this analysis.
Go to the Play Store and look at. I know you've left VR, but I'm back again. Look at all the apps. There's an Adult Swim app for VR. Here's Jurassic VR. There are paid apps for cardboard. You're going to start seeing. This may be. It's so. You know what I love about this? Google completely scooped Facebook.
Yep.
And their Oculus Rift by just saying, well, what if we did something on cardboard? And what if, and then already these are all apps.
Have we ever heard who were the two people who sat around a beer saying,
wrote it on a napkin?
Make this out of cardboard. I want to interview them.
This, to me, is the essence of Google.
Paul
which is
McCartney
get something out
concert.
there and then tweak it.
Look at this.
Instead of
they used an Apollo at a Paul McCartney concert, and you can go there now and sit on the stage with Paul. This is on the App Store, and it's free. Isn't that interesting? I mean, this is already an ecosystem.
Yeah.
And they haven't released Gear VR yet either. Yep. I'm downloading Paul McCartney right now.
I haven't heard about the makers. I want to get these people in Makerbase.
Wouldn't they be cool?
I'm even looking at the Wikipedia page. I don't see who was responsible for this because it was a 20% project, I believe.
But you know what? Google's 20% has really paid off.
Yep.
What did they get out of that? Gmail, so many Google News, so many things. All right, I'm sorry. I went back to Google VR.
No. I wasn't trying to change the subject. I was just extending.
No, I think it's really interesting to see what Google's up to. I really do.
But again, I think this is the essence of Google and what gives them a huge advantage. They have the guts to come out with stuff that isn't done. Now, we're probably later in the show and going to talk about this thing that everybody's complaining about. That take a picture of your food porn.
Yeah.
And tells you how many calories. And it's like, oh, it doesn't work.
That can't possibly. Oh, if it doesn't work.
Well, people are saying that's inaccurate. Plus, calories is a bad measurement for food and so on. But the Google philosophy, unlike the sort of Oculus philosophy, which is work on it, for 4 years now, they've been working on Oculus, and still we have nothing in our hands. Google just put something out there, and let's all keep working on it.
It's about
even
agile.
as we use it. Exactly.
It's about agile.
Yeah.
So I have to download. It turns out the Gear VR app as well.
Did you get that in 3D? Like,
yeah,
download it.
It did. It said, "Welcome to Gear VR." Now download. Take your phone out and download the app.
Exactly. Don't try to do this on a live show.
Yeah,
it said that.
Everybody, Steve Gibson was thrilled about Project Soli. So this is one of the ATAP things. Yeah. It's like radar. It's a chip that sends out a. I don't know technically what the technology is. Is it?
It's like a theremin, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a navigational theremin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can sense movements and stuff. This thing was really very exciting because it could be a whole new way of of using your computer.
Yeah.
Or a computing device.
Well, or computing device. Interacting with a vending machine or with
or clothes.
Because
of Project Jacquard, it's fair. I just think Google is knocking it out of the park in every respect. Very exciting.
There's the use case that I think is the most exciting is in a smartwatch because they made a big point of showing how small they got the chip already, and they haven't even it's still early days in this thing, and it's the size of a dime.
Yeah.
What I want is alternative air typing.
Yeah.
With some way to get to 26 letters. by motions without having to have anything physical.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you wouldn't use a QWERTY, would you? You'd use some. You have to learn some new way.
It'd be like
gestures.
touch your knuckles or do a circle or I mean, well, you know what it is? Okay, imagine ASL with that.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's everybody would have to learn that instead of
ASL.
typing.
Yeah.
Teacher, you know, Etta should learn ASL now.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. That's perfect. Because it's a complete language.
You're
it's
preparing
in every
her for the future.
It's an approach to language that exists in many, many languages. That's perfect.
Is it sound waves? I don't know what it is.
Yeah. How
It's
does this work?
magic.
I mean, it's
It's just
radar.
magic.
Yeah.
It's very low energy. I asked, you know, maybe it's the, I don't know what it is.
It's gonna fry us all.
Oh, it is, but who cares? I don't mind. I, for one, am prepared.
Welcome our new frying pan.
I welcome our new frying.
I love the fact that Google bought Motorola, and this was originally part of Motorola, and then they sold Motorola, and they said, you know what, we're going to keep this bit.
Do they look crazy like a fox now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and
That was the whole point,
They kept
huh?
the patents, too, so.
Yeah, the patents were valuable.
Yeah.
The phone's not so much.
Right.
Who
Exactly.
cares about the phones?
Exactly.
Wow, you know, they look so smart. We were talking, Gina, about Android M during the live stream. What are your takeaways on the new version of Android?
You know, I'm excited. I mean, visually, it's not the kind of huge upgrade that we got with Lollipop material design, but I'm really excited about some of the new features, particularly around easier permissions, permissions that don't make you feel like you're signing your life away the minute that you install your app, permissions that happen in Flow. That's something I want
like that.
time.
Apple does that.
Yeah, fingerprint detection. Excited about that. Excited about Android Pay. Even though, you know, I mean, Google's taken a few shots at contactless payments and just payments in general, but I was excited about that. I think that, you know, in general, it's a fairly subtle upgrade, but there's some good stuff here. Better battery management. I mean, look, we're always trying to make our devices go longer, but that doze mode and battery saver.
That may be the most important single piece. If they really did impact battery life significantly, that's huge.
The other thing that I think is absolutely huge is Google Now and Now on Tap.
Yeah, and does that come with them?
Yes, it does, and it's one of the biggest. It's probably the biggest reason to not use an iPhone, because you can't do this on an iPhone, and therefore this is one of the rare cases where you know, Google likes to have everything on every platform that it can, but Apple won't give this kind of access. So, as an example, you're looking at any app, and you can just basically press and hold the home key, and it'll just pop up all the information it knows about whatever's on the screen. Another part of this is where you can basically, developers can build in Google Now compatibility, and then you can use whatever is going on with the app in context. So, for example, let's say there's music playing and you're listening to a Pandora song on Pandora. You can say, "Who is this?" And it knows who this is, knows what the word "this" means, based on the context of the app itself. And that's just one trivial example, but it takes Google Now and it puts it anywhere and everywhere, which is amazing.
I think Google has finally decided that it's going to ignore the privacy advocates and just go ahead.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, if you don't want Google reading every screen on your phone, use an iPhone.
Use Apple. Yeah.
Fine.
In fact, that's what Cook's doing, is differentiating himself, saying, no, we don't have an advertising model. We don't snoop on you.
Good.
You also don't know me.
Yeah, good. And I hope they do that, because I'm tired of Google kind of saying, well, we're gonna slow down. We don't want to do face recognition. We don't want to do anything. Yeah. Slow down. You know what? Google should just say, okay, that's fine. For those of you who are willing to give us more information, we will be more valuable experience for you. For those who aren't, we'll be less valuable. And if you really don't want to give us anything, there's other choices out there.
Tragically, one of the reasons they can do that is that we've all been bludgeoned by news about all these hacks. Our private information has been hacked at Target. It's been hacked by the IRS. It's been hacked in all these locations. It's just, I think people have accepted the fact that personal private information of the kind that you interact with online is just available. It's just out there by for all kinds of uses. And to serve up contextual advertising and to give you better, you know, preemptive virtual assistant results is the most innocuous result of that data harvesting.
Do you think Etta's generation will just say, oh, who needs privacy?
I mean, we're getting there, right? I mean, I think there's kind of this feeling of like the benefit of things like this outweighs, the risk. I think a lot of people feel like, well, I mean, what do I have to hide? It's just so convenient, right? That's what it's the security versus convenience trade-off.
Yeah, that's the right thing, Gina. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, we're maybe more aware of it than a sort of normal consumer, but I think that's generally the feeling. I mean, that worries me a little bit. I think we should need to think about the implications. I mean, when they showed Now on Tap on the stream, I mean, the first thing I thought was, wait a second, they're Now on Tap, they're summoning this Now on Tap in a non-Google app, right? So I know that Google has access to all my personal data in Google Apps. I agreed to that, right? There was a change in their privacy policy a few years back, and I said, okay, fine, right? Calendar knows about Gmail, Now knows about all of them. Okay, fine. But if I'm having a private, conversation with my spouse on a third-party SMS app, or I don't know, any sort of third app, and even as a developer, I'm thinking, okay, I make a to-do list. Does this mean that Google, Now on Tap now sees my users' to-do list? Yeah,
Pick up the dry cleaning.
Yeah. So that jumped out at me instantaneously. I was like, wait a second. How is this happening? Is the user granting permission? Is it screen scraping? What's going on? So there's this Assist API. It's a brand new API that's going to be in Android M that actually gives access to any assistant type like app, like Now on Tap. So that's interesting because there might be other assistant apps, not just Now on Tap. And the developer sets a flag that, in a sensitive view where you might have personal information, the developer can set a flag that says secure. So that says good. Now on Tap can access this information. Otherwise, the developer can expose. Now, I feel like that's a weird role for a developer to be in. I might be having.
The default is open then. The default is open because no app knew that this existed. So thus, people will have to go back in and retrofit.
Well, or if you have an app that has all sorts of private stuff in it and it's not updated, does it just give it all to Google?
This should be my choice, right? And so we don't know. There's a lot of this we don't know. I don't know if it's on by default, if it's enabled by default. I don't know if users are going to be able to turn this on and off. Probably, right? Because you can turn Now on and off. So probably, but it's an
until you
thing,
summon it, though, Gina. Until you,
right.
But maybe here's the difference. It's not like Google is listening to all your activity in all the apps. It's when you push down the button, you are purposely summoning Now on Tap to say, please give me context for what I'm doing right now.
That's an easy thing to do by accident. For one thing,
well,
right? You accidentally press and hold too long.
Okay, you can do lots of things, but I think as a principle,
I think there's got to be.
If I'm wrong here, as a principle, the act of summoning Google Now on Tap is an opt-in.
Too easy to do.
No, because why else would you do it?
Because how do you summon it?
You long tap on the home button.
I never
easy long tap on the home button. You don't paying attention. Right. You accidentally forget to let go on the home button. I do it all the time. That is not.
So I do a long tap while scratching my head. Are you okay now?
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
what it has to do then the first time, and I'm sure they will, is do what they do with Google Now the first time. Here's what it is. Are you in? And you have to say yes, I'm in, or it won't do it. It's got to be.
But my point to Gina is that let's say you generally say it's okay, it's on. Then it's not like Google is listening to your app activity all the time. It's when you ask it to, it will give you contextual suggestions.
And then the other question is, what happens to that information?
Exactly. That is the question.
Is it local to the phone, or is it sending back to Google servers saying, hey, what are these pictures of Leo? What is going on here? Is there anything you can do with this?
Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes here, and while I agree that this is an incredible feature, and one of the I think the best things that they showed off, I want to know more.
Well, and as a developer, you want to know more too, right?
Certainly, as a developer, I want to know more. I mean, I have a lot of users that don't like the idea that their to-dos are synced to Dropbox, which is a choice I made. Like, oh hey, let's sync to it, So, like if Google can look at your to-do list or your private, chats, and I don't think this should be a developer choice. I think it should be a user choice. So, and maybe it's both. But I'm interested to see how this is implemented and how the permissions work. But it's a very cool feature, and I get you, Jeff, that you're summoning Now on Tap. It's possible that Now on Tap, it's using the Google View hierarchy or the Android View hierarchy, I think, to get to say what is contained in this view, what text is contained in this view, and it's possible that locally it's able to say, oh, this is a pronoun that represents a restaurant, But most likely, I mean, it's got to be making calls back to the server to say, what is this restaurant? What's the number? What options?
It's not the only context. It's also gonna use the other things that it can get, like location, time of day, knowledge of where you live versus where you are now. That context. I mean, the point of this all is context, context, context.
Blood sugar level from your smartwatch, skin sensor.
Well, I mean, with diabetics in the family, that'd be a wonderful thing.
Yeah. The watch can tell you when you're hungry. So one of the interesting things that came out of I/O that's related to this topic, the topic being, what does Google do with this personal information? We've all been marveling and oohing and ahhing over the Google Photos capability of recognizing dog breeds and different kinds of food and things like that, which just looks amazing. How do they do that? And one of the concerns people have is the recognition of people's faces, which they demonstrated goes all the way back to infancy somehow, which that has not been explained.
And it does not work, I might add.
It doesn't work. It works better than it should, but not perfectly good enough to really use it. But the
Louis C.K. moment.
Yeah. So no, but
wait a minute. I'm okay. Can you explain the reference without
everything is awesome and nobody's happy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gee, it missed me at 4 years old. The whole thing.
No, I just want to point out it's not perfect.
How entitled we are. But one of the interesting things that they said about this in the Google Photos press conference is that they're not actually doing identity. In other words, they have a internal nerdy database entry thing of identity. This is a person, and there's all the things we know about this person. The Photos app doesn't use that. In other words, it doesn't know the difference between a grilled cheese sandwich and somebody's face. It just knows that these match. These are associated with each other and associated with the search.
Your eye is this far away from your nose.
Exactly.
At this age and as you grow.
So for example, if I took a picture of one of my kids and I labeled it grilled cheese sandwich,
it would from then on think that was
every picture of my kid would come up when I search for grilled cheese sandwich.
That's a good idea.
Given your love of food, I'm surprised you didn't name your kid grilled cheese sandwich.
So how much of that has to do with this? This is a big change in Google. If you go to any Google page now, remember you used to have a picture of yourself, and if you'd click on it, you'd drop it down, and it would show my profile. No longer does it say my profile.
Right.
No longer do we push to Google+. Yet another way, we're chiseling away at Google+. It says my account now, and you'll get this. You'll get this page. In fact, Google's been pushing people for the last couple of days. Anytime you go to your Google account, to this page, my account, control, protect, and secure your account all in one place. And this is not quite the dashboard, but this is I think in some ways this is Google's proactive way to respond to some of the concerns that we have.
This is the convenience versus risk thing, right? So at I/O, they had to show off, they had to emphasize the convenience, and in that new thing, they have to minimize the risk, right? They have to make you feel like, okay, this is I have control here. I know what's going on. I'm okay with consenting to this, right? So that it has to be really a two-pronged approach.
This is for people who aren't regular listeners of the show. We've talked about this maybe a year ago. This was a Larry Page interview. Was it Larry? I think it was Larry. Maybe it was Bradley Horowitz. Somebody said, some Google executive said, maybe it was Sundar, I don't know, that there's the two faces of that coin, and that we've not done such a good job. We've done a good job of explaining the benefits, but not such a good job of consent. And they go together. You can't do one without the other. So this is, you're exactly right, Gina. This is in action, that philosophy that they described.
Gina, I think the other thing about it is that this allows Google to argue that there is a benefit of pulling all your data together because you can control it at once. Whereas the argument in Europe is, oh, no, just because you bought another service, you can't pull their, you bought YouTube doesn't mean you can have YouTube data in Google. Well, now you can have control across all Google services.
Right.
Let's take a break. We're going to come back with more. There's lots to talk about.
Yeah.
We have. I think we've talked enough about photos on every other show, including Paul Thurrott on Windows Weekly, who was singing its praises.
I was amazed.
He's never liked anything from Google.
No.
It just shows you. I mean, everybody's excited about this. Yeah.
I was surprised the New York Times led with cardboard and VR. In their story, I thought photos was unquestionably the lead of I/O.
You know why? I've just been told there is a New York Times Magazine cardboard app.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
What a surprise. It's a great panel. Mike Elgan, thank you for being here. Our news director. You see him every Monday for Friday on Tech News Today.
Yes, you do.
There, 10 a.m.
Week,
It's a little early for me. That's all. 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 p.m., 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and 1700 UTC, Monday through Friday. And it's always nice to have you here on Twig.
Always nice to be here.
Really nice to have Gina, too. Man, I feel like I'm surrounded. I'm bathed in riches tonight. Gina Trapani.
Great to be here.
And, I plugged Think Up, but I forgot to plug your new Maker thing. So it's called
MakerBase.
MakerBase.
Yeah, it's makerbay.se.
Makerbay.se. It's Swedish.
It spells MakerBase in your in your address bar.
MakerBase.
MakerBase.
It's not live yet. It's invite only, and I promised everyone that I'd invite. I got inundated with requests for invites. We're catching up. I'm doing a little every day. So.
Well, I'm kind of mad at you because you know what happened is you mentioned that if somebody who's on MakerBase mentions somebody else in their MakerBase, that then they will be invited to be in MakerBase. So everybody said, "Okay, mention me, mention me."
Did you also get inundated? Yeah, we're trying to spread the love.
I stood back. I said, "I'm not going to do anything until it's not beta."
Yeah. That's fine.
So you'll understand why I haven't gone through all of this because I have a lot of data entry.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I didn't.
There's a few shows I am involved with here.
Just a couple people know you online, Leo. So. That's forgiven. All forgiven.
It's really cool. Makerbase.se. Just MakerBase. Just type MakerBase. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
And Google will put the dot in for you, knowing exactly what you were thinking. And also, of course, Jeff Jarvis. We love Jeff. Always great to have you. It was nice to have you in studio last week.
Somebody does.
You know what, Jeff? You and I have something in common. We're cranky. What? I realized I thought I was the nice guy and you were the cranky guy. I'm the cranky guy, too.
The old bad cop routine.
Bad cop. Exactly. No, but you know what? Jeff's a sweetheart, too. I want to talk to you about the new Medium when we get a chance, too. There's some big changes over there at Ev Williams' Medium. Is it a pivot or is it a refinement or are they, as
a treat?
Somebody just said, throwing anything up against the wall and seeing what sticks? Our show today brought to you by Smart Things. We're going to talk about smart homes for sure. And Smart Things really is there smack dab in the middle of this intelligent revolution. It's exactly what you want. Kind of think of it as an ombudsman for your smart home, a central hub that talks to everything, and then your single application, that talks to it. And I have to say, I was a little disappointed when I read about what others are doing because you're still installing 100 apps on your phone. Yeah. I want one app, and that's what SmartThings does. SmartThings.com/twig to learn more. For your iPhone, your Android phone or tablet, your Windows phone too, the SmartThings app, it's an open platform. So SmartThings works with Zigbee, Z-Wave, Dropcam, Schlage locks, Honeywell thermostats, on and on and on. Plus also they provide their own sensors to complete the package. So you could do most anything. Turn on your lights from your phone because they've got a plug socket. So even if the light is not smart, plug socket is. Of course, if you have Philips Hue lights, you could do a whole lot more. You can have your music play when you enter the house, thanks to Sonos. You can get instant alerts if there's unexpected movement or entry in your home. They have cameras, so you can set a camera or use Dropcam to take a series of photos when there's motion. It all makes everything talk together. Energy savings, water detection. Now through the end of the month, SmartThings is offering its 3 most popular kits at a big discount for our Twit audience. 10% off either the home security, the energy saver, or the water detection kit. But you got to go to smartthings.com/twig, and the offer code, of course, TWIG. It's easy, it's fast, it's a great way to get started with a smarter home. Smartthings.com/twig for 10% off and free shipping in the U.S. Smartthings.com/twig. I want to put this on. While you've been talking, I've gone through the fairly elaborate onboarding. Oh no, I still have to verify my email.
I got to say that sitting next to you here, it's so much easier to
like
look at your screen. In violation of every social norm that we've established.
No, look at my screen, my friends. It's yours. I give it to you. What did I say we would talk about next?
Medium.
Medium.
The Medium.
Well, that's not necessarily next, but yeah, we could talk about that. What's going on over at Medium? I actually was kind of excited because I finally made a Medium account, and everybody I follow on Medium if they annotate an article, I see their annotations. I didn't know about that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's fairly
Is that
new.
cool? I mean, it depends.
Well,
Depends on how many people are annotating it. I mean, it could be.
what was the article that I was? Oh, it was Stephen Levy's interview with Bradley Horowitz.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Plus.
And so I was getting Evan Williams annotations. I was getting Chris Messina's annotations. Yes, I want to see what Chris Messina thinks about anything.
Well, they want to turn it into a social network, and I guess that's one way to build comments right into the body of the post/article.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I love interactivity, and I'm Mr. Interactivity. It's not the medium I signed up for, obviously. It's changed.
Oh,
and the problem is, you know, the advantage I saw is that the author of the piece chooses whether or not to make public the comments that are in line.
So here's M.G. Siegler's comment. We're actually highlighting.
Well, it's just all he did was mark it. So
Mark
you don't,
it.
It's not really. So they also lowered the barrier to having an impact. So you mark stuff, but you don't make a comment. I found my comments pretty much disappeared. My latest piece has tons
Oh, it's
of them.
just highlighting?
It's just highlighted in that case. But you can also comment. But most times now it's just highlighting because it's the easier path. But,
Right.
you know, okay, that's vaguely interesting. But then if you go to the bottom of the piece, Leo,
Yeah.
they have responses there.
Yeah.
And so what's happening is the old bad comments are back. Stupid, off topic, crappy comments are in there with smart comments. Now, Stephen Levy explained to me that what happens is the author of the piece still has a special right. Because if I recommend a piece, it will appear on the first page. If I don't, it won't. It's still there, but it's on the second page. But
Recommend a
I
comment.
understand what Ev's trying to do. You know, people weren't spending enough time just reading. So he wanted to have a network structure, and I get that. But I think we've got to think real hard about what comes that's bad with a network structure. I met with one of the people at Washington Post who's doing Project Coral, which is an effort from Mozilla, New York Times, Washington Post, and the Knight Foundation to rethink comments on media sites. And I got named Greg Barber at the Washington Post. What he was saying was that it's really about trusted relationships. So it's not necessarily about the content of the comment or the content of what I'm annotating or reacting to. It's trusted relationships. So if you look at something like Genius, there where you do have true annotations, where someone can annotate. Do you ever use Genius, Theo?
I don't know what it is.
You don't know Rap Genius? Genius?
Oh, Rap
Rap
Genius. Isn't that
but
the
it's
one
now
that got...
Genius?
Oh, okay.
No. So now it's Genius. So there's News Genius as well.
Oh.
And you can put an article or a speech or anything up there. They also have a means that if you put in...
I don't know about this. Did you know about this?
It's pretty
I
amazing.
know about everything.
I saw the story go by, and then I.
So this is
ignored
News Genius. So what am I seeing here?
So this, you can take an article, a speech, a book chapter, a song, and you can truly annotate it. And they've also set up a structure so you could do this on top of a New York Times page, but the New York Times lawyers stopped them for now. So the example I have of having annotated that, I forget what one of my German publisher guys, put up Robert Thompson from News Corp put up an anti-German rant. And so I could annotate it there at Rap Genius, a genius. It's very cool. So there's all kinds of interactivity that can go on now. My point is, on Medium alone, you have comments, you have things you can mark, you have responses, you have recommendations.
It's a shame
because you recommend
because it was Rap Genius. There is a definite urban slant to every single section on here.
Yep.
But maybe that'll over time change. I think the idea is really interesting.
It's really, really intriguing. I went to a meeting run by the Pointer Foundation or Pointer Group, whatever it's called.
Institute.
Thank you. In New York 2 weeks ago on this notion of annotation and trying to rethink what comments are. So Ev, who caused blogging and popularized blogging and caused Twitter, is reflexively, I think, going back to the value of interactivity. But there's still problems to solve with interactivity because some people are a-holes.
They also got rid of some of the channels, right?
Yep.
Because they thought they were fully a content thing, so they were paying for content even before they had the monetization ready to do it.
Now, Jeff, do you think that for authors who are writing books and want to do it in public, like Follow the Geeks, I think is one example, is either Medium or Genius a good place to do that to solicit feedback?
Really interesting question, Mike. Dan Gilmore put up his almost finished chapters of his last book long ago, long before these things were there. in a sense, I do that in my blog where I throw up an idea and people react to it. By the time you have a draft, what are you really asking people to do? You're asking them to copy edit and fact check you, which is okay. But you're not, the reader then isn't really part of the process. The reader's at the end of the process, almost at the very end of the process.
Yep.
The other way that people have used Rap Genius is some authors and singers, singer-songwriters have put up stuff so they can explain what they were doing. They can truly annotate and add information.
Yeah.
All right, I'm downloading a perfect beach.
I see.
So that you can hear the water lapping. You hear nice meditation music.
He's going to his happy place.
I'm going to put that on here. Okay. And then you guys can continue without me.
Don't mind us. We'll just...
Goodbye. I'm going to my beach. What the hell?
Leo's going to his happy place.
Not yet.
Happy place. He's still in his unhappy place.
I still have to do configuration for my happy place.
That's a dizzy
place.
Nauseating place.
Wait a minute, I think my phone just died.
Your phone went to a
That's another thing with this is it will kill battery, although apparently there's a little USB port on here, so I can just plug it in.
Now Medium says that they want to be more of a social network and less of a blog posting kind of a thing. Is this going to happen?
Make up your mind, Ev.
Is this going to be is this a good idea? Do we want to use Medium as a social network?
It's making me think, no. Well, or maybe if that's fine, but that's then not going to be the place I post most of my stuff mostly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Jeff, you've really turned a corner on this a little bit.
Well, yeah, it has an impact. And I was debating whether, I was trying to think about writing an email to Ev, but I haven't used it enough to get a good enough sense. So I could change my mind again. Been known to happen. But yeah, it was a peaceful, quiet place to write in a beautiful presence and feel like it was more polished. And again, I'm a fan of interactivity. I'm a fan of conversation, but we got a lot of places for that.
Yeah.
God knows we have places for that. But I understand the business probably wasn't working. People were not spending enough time reading good stuff.
Well, is minutes read the main metric? Right? Because that was Medium's metric, minutes read.
TTR, total time read.
Total time read. Is that still the metric?
As of now, yes.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Okay.
As far as I know.
I mean, for me, I actually really like the highlights because I think that Medium encourages folks to write more than they need to. Whereas with Twitter, you're so constrained. What I like about highlights is that especially writers who just aren't, have been writing or aren't great writers, just a lot of throat clearing, a lot of, ramping up to the point, a lot of, so the highlights is like, show me the few sentences of this piece that I need to see. And also that's just the way I read online, right? If I'm reading a book, I'm going to take time and I'm going to linger. What I have trouble with Medium, I love Medium and I've read such great stuff there. Most of it is in my read it later queue. And a lot of it I skimmed because it was just too long, which I don't know if that makes me anti-intellectual or ADHD or what, but it's just the reality of how I read, online. So I like highlights for that reason because I kind of get the, show me the great sentences, and I feel like the best Medium writers just stick the landing and it's that last graph, where they get, kind of, but I mean, Medium, the platform incentivizes its writers to do that, particularly its paid writers, right? Because paid writers actually get measured on minutes read, right? On the number of minutes.
My friend Debbie Gallant said one day talking to me, said, what a journalist would have said to another journalist, I have to go write a 6-inch story or a 400-word story. She said, I think I'm going to write that in about 6 minutes.
I'm going to write a 6-minute story.
The latest piece I wrote on Medium, which was about Tomorrowland, it's short. So what happened was, except for my plug for my own book at the top, which no one highlighted,
except your mom,
everything got highlighted.
Yeah.
So there's a limit to the scale there. So over one thing, 42 people highlighted on one paragraph, and so that tells you something, I guess. But it doesn't do that job. Once too many people have read it, it won't happen.
Right.
It won't give you the value you just wanted.
Mm-hmm. Right. Although,
God bless Ev, he's experimenting. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. People have have really high expectations of Ev because he's created two, blockbuster products that arguably really changed the web and changed publishing. And so I think Medium is so high profile and got, so many users so quickly because it was Ev. And I think that he is a guy who has a lot of money and can experiment and is, of the old web where you did experiment and change things a lot. And I think he just gets such scrutiny by the media for figure this out. What's the plan? And I think that he doesn't know, but he's finding it out as he goes along. But because he's so high profile, it makes it. I think that he often gets painted as, lazy billionaire playing around with his property. I actually think he's an incredible product person, and I think that he should follow his instincts and go with it. And we should give him room to do that. Right? I mean, this guy has been designing text boxes for 15 years, more than anybody on the web. And he's made incredible things that I've benefited from and all of us have. So, give him the room. It bothers me. The negativity bugs me. But I'm still a little bit circumspect around Medium.
Yeah, no, I agree. I absolutely agree. I don't want to sound like I'm negative because I haven't thought it through yet. And whenever I do figure out what I think, the first thing I want to do is to give Ev and the team feedback, because I know it'll keep developing. I know they'll listen to that.
Do you think Stephen Levy is regretting going all in here?
No, I don't think so.
He gave up a real job at Wired.
Yeah,
why was Wired real? So that's interesting. Because I kind of think of it that way too.
I was a little facetious.
Yeah, right. Why is writing for Medium not real? I mean, part of that is anybody can write on Medium.
But he has his own magazine on it.
Right. He heads his own division of it.
Yeah.
What
did he say what did he say when you talked to him, Jeff?
Well, he came to me at I.O. I don't think I'm revealing anything here, but David Weinberger wrote a piece where he took 10 questions that were asked of a candidate on CNN and 10 that were asked on Reddit and just said, compare and contrast. And then he asked Dan Gilmore,
people do that all the time, though. I feel like that isn't that's too hard.
No. So they wanted a process. So he asked Dan Gilmore and me and others to come in and comment because they wanted to kind of really oomph what one was with lots of commenting going on. And then David came back and responded to them, and they wanted to see what a really rich conversation would look like, and they primed the pump to do that. Stephen was at the heart of that test because Stephen has the content to do that. Mm-hmm. So when they want to use, I think that Stephen, my bet is that Stephen will be around forever, as if he wants to, because he can be the guinea pig for how content can work in new ways there. Who better to do it than Stephen?
Here's an article.
By the way, Stephen was at the press party at I.O., where I got to meet Larry and Sundar, which was a thrill. As soon as Larry came in, Stephen was just with him. But I think it was also to kind of make Larry at ease. But Stephen's a hell of a journalist. When he has a source, and he knows them obviously, he sticks by there and stays in conversation and learns things.
It's fun to watch a pro at work, isn't it? Stephen.
So I met Larry, and I said, some way to introduce myself, because the PR people said, "You want to meet Larry?" I said, "Oh yeah, of course." So I go up in the awkward silence moment, and I say, "Hi, I'm Jeff Jarvis. I wrote a book called What Would Google Do?" And he said, "Oh yes, I remember." He said, "What would Google do?"
Did you find anything out?
And I said, I don't know. So what you tell me? He said, I don't know.
Okay.
Your next book could be, what would Larry think that Google might do? Something like that.
No surprise that Sundar Pichai really owned the stage. Larry didn't show up. Sergey didn't show up and fly in. Nothing. It was a Sundar Pichai show.
There's been a coup.
He's consolidated it, hasn't he? He's the guy now.
Yep.
He seems like such a good guy.
I think he's good.
So thoughtful.
Yeah, he was comfortable up on that stage.
Yeah, he was.
Mm-hmm. He's got this. You can tell. He's in.
And so many of these shows we've watched, there've been no women, no people of color, no diversity in the audience. This is not. Boy, Google is so diverse.
Well, on the stage, they still aren't as much otherwise, but on stage they were.
That's a good point. But even in the audience, you look at the audience. Maybe not so many women, but it was a very international audience, I thought, which is really great.
They're very international, and they have gone to great lengths to bring in more women into their. It's hard to tell because they've gone from almost none to a small number, but they've worked at it pretty hard, and they've also worked at it to have upper level executives be women and so on. But their most recent report actually shows that year over year they've grown the number of women in technology-related positions from only 17% to 18%. That's it. And for African Americans and Hispanics, they didn't budge the number one bit, despite a lot of effort. And so they're struggling with that.
It's hard to do. But Gina, isn't it great to see women on stage? Even if you don't have them on the rank and file, it sends a message that I would hope in the long run would improve it.
Apple had a fashion model on stage.
Yeah,
she was female.
I think the people on stage really reflect the people who are in charge of the various divisions. I mean, they don't choose folks. I mean, Samsung got actors up there, right? I mean, I think that's a reflection of who's in charge. So that made me really happy. Totally subjectively watching the stream, I didn't see a lot of women in the audience. There was like one row. I was like, oh, they put all the women in that one row.
Yeah, that was weird. Remember, we said, oh, there's where they put the women.
But I did see a photo. A friend of mine posted a photo. There was a line at the women's room at Moscone.
Oh, yeah, that I like to see. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I was almost going to take a picture of it, and I felt that was creepy.
Yeah, that would have been a little creepy, right? You have to be a woman in that case.
But how many times have I used the ladies' room at Moscone during a big conference because there's no one in there?
Yes, there's no one in there.
No, I don't do that.
I did that too. That's what caused the line. They were waiting for me to get out.
There's a man in here.
Mentioned like what the percentage of attendees were, the gender breakdown of the percentage of attendees. And I remember they mentioned it last year because I looked at Jeff and rolled my eyes and said, oh, we're celebrating this, because it was a low number. I felt like it was like still like 15% or 18%. They didn't mention the numbers this year. I don't know. I mean, I get that it's a short keynote and they have to decide what points. I would be very interested to know what the attendee breakdown was, but I was really happy to see women on stage. We probably will not see women on stage next week at it's the next week, right? WWDC. And I feel like that's a one way that Google, explicitly tries to differentiate itself as a company. Just look at the Android ads.
It's actually an important way.
Yeah.
Very important.
You might say that, oh, that's just stage managing. It's not real. But no, I think it's making a statement. I think it makes a difference.
Well, I think it also demonstrated they weren't bringing in random women because they were women. These are women who are heading divisions. Regina Dugan heads ATAP.
I love
et cetera,
that.
et cetera.
I think that's so great. That the coolest stuff coming out of Google, and it's a woman presenting it, is fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, and they all had those they all had titles.
Yeah.
Those were
they weren't actors.
They're leading those efforts, so that made me happy.
Yeah. We kind of did Google Photos. I don't want to go back on that.
We did that.
Too bad, because J.R. Raphael has a great piece on the 6 things missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Louis C.K. moment.
Another one.
Unlimited free storage.
Yeah,
that's all you really need to say.
It doesn't do this.
But to that point, there's actually quite a few things that Photos on Google Plus did, including much of the editing, that weren't carried over. But I have to think they plan on.
Oh, they were bad. Bradley couldn't have been clearer. Could not have been clearer. This is. I mean, even though it's not a beta, it's a released product.
No, but they're slowly
There's tons
adding
of stuff they know.
But whether Google Plus, really, come on.
Well, there too, Bradley said.
I know what he said.
It's about connecting people to their interests. So it's going to become a subset of groups.
The Stream is going to be a separate product, right? So Stream, Hangouts, and Photos are separate products.
Stream, Google Plus is Stream, is it?
Yes.
No, now it's closer to a Stream.
So here's what actually happened. Google came out with Google Plus. They decided it, back in the day, 5 years ago, Facebook was running away with all the traffic and links and so on. And so Google said, we have to do a social network. And so what they did was Vic Indotra was in charge of it, and the strategy was to make Google Plus the center of everything that Google did. And it was essentially an unpopular, internally and externally, political move on the part of Larry Page and Vic Indotra, and they've crammed all this stuff in there, and everybody began to associate the forced integration of different Google properties with what Google Plus was as the identity of Google Plus. Now they're piece by piece dismantling those forced integrations, and people are saying, oh, that means Google Plus is... No, it's just not being forcibly integrated. It's being disintegrated.
Right,
but not disabled.
Let's do a long bet here.
Yeah,
and I don't know what I'll bet, but since you are even more than me a defender of Google Plus, even though we get heckled and laughed at for that, especially by the way in Google crowds, I can get a laugh every time I'm at a Google event where it's I actually like Google Plus, and then I get much laughter. Because they're tired of putting up with abuse for it. Year and a half from now.
Yeah.
Will anything recognizable as Google Plus still be alive?
I don't know, but I think yes. I think it'll continue. The thing that I can't imagine is for Google to have nothing in the area of social networking. So they'll either replace it again, or they'll keep it. They're not going to just pull the plug.
Bradley's title is photos. I'm sorry, streams, photos, and sharing.
Yes, exactly.
Streams matter. Facebook owns streams.
Paul McCartney
Twitter has a
concert
stream.
started
Instagram has
5 minutes later. I don't know what's going on here.
What?
I was trying to watch a Paul McCartney concert like half an hour ago.
Leah's like eating lunch, watching a concert.
I love this show. Go ahead. Please, don't let me interrupt. Live and let live. You know you would. You know you could. Take your VR back.
Okay, so yes. So
what Google needs is stream.
Yeah.
Is Google Plus that stream, or do you think Bradley and all have something else up their sleeves to get our attention for a flow of information or a flow of attention?
I think that either one of those is a good and likely scenario. I think the only scenario that is impossible is for them to have nothing in the area of streams. They're going to have a social network of some kind. And so they'll either replace it with something they think is better, which would be great, or they'll keep it around forever, which would be great, in my opinion. But really, they need streams for lots of reasons that people don't think too much about. For example, all of the wearable stuff that's coming in the future is going to need something like Google Plus or something that would replace it as the place where you do stuff. You saw that with Google Glass, and you see it with Android Wear. How do you know what the social networks are? How do you know what the birthdays are? How do you know what, where do you put the video without touching any buttons or anything? I mean, it has to go somewhere. So I'm super optimistic about it. I think Google Plus is great. They do keep improving it a little bit. I think it's great that they're taking out Hangouts and Photos because it just makes it easier to share on other platforms. And it's, I would be, I think they all of their social networks keep getting better. Like Google Plus is 1,000,000 times better than Buzz, for example. And if they come out with something, if they're hatching some new scheme, it could be really, really great. And that would be.
But are they going to get us again? They got us in Buzz. They got us in. They're really going to be able to get us to. You got to be for a stream to work. You got to be committed to it. Now Google could just make a stream for you or me because it knows so much about us. Yeah. Maybe that's what now is. Maybe now is the stream.
Now is the stream, right? I mean. I don't know. Does Google need a stream? Why does Google need a stream? I don't know.
Because I think that it's the right question, Gina. But I think that Facebook, Twitter, et al. Have some extended attention. If you look at the amount of attention that we give Facebook, it's considerable. What does Instant Articles do? It allows news to ingratiate itself into that stream. That's where their attention is going to be. That's where you want to be. Google doesn't have that. Google still organizes the page-based web. Mobile is about streams. Is about rolling things. The fact that Bradley has streams in his title says streams matter.
But I think the bigger reason is that people want to join up together in groups to share their passions with each other, and Google could abdicate its involvement in that human activity entirely, or they can facilitate it in places like Google Plus. Google Plus is amazing for that sort of thing on thousands of different passions that people have around photography and macrame or whatever it is, scuba diving. There are rich communities that exist, even though they're not Facebook-sized numbers. And I don't see why Google would get out of that business. It's great for harvesting data about what people are passionate about to serve them advertising on other sites. Fantastic for that, theoretically at least. It's great for people as a place for people to have an intelligent conversation with other people, and Google can, like Jeff said, be involved in those conversations. I don't see any reason to not do something like Google Plus. And besides, Facebook is terrible. Twitter is very problematic. There's got to be some place, we're getting to the user interest rather than Google's interest. There has to be a place online where people can go and not be bludgeoned to death with advertising, to not be overwhelmed by trolling and harassment and hate speech. And Google Plus is the best place for that, even though the journalists on Twitter have not recognized the fact that the whole trolling, harassment, hate speech, silencing of women issue is a Twitter issue.
It's exclusively a Twitter issue, really.
It really is, and nobody seems to mind. And the privacy abuses seems to be primarily a Facebook issue. So there should be a good place. I think it's good for Google's reputation to have the place where you can go and not be harassed by all the things that bother people online, even though that's only a couple of 100 million people and not at 1.4 billion.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's Google's core competency. Like, I think Google's really good at utilities and not so great at social. And here's the thing, like, I look at tons of streams from Google. I look at my Gmail all day long. I look at Now all day long. I mean, I'm constantly using Google. It's not like Google's lacking for advertising space. I mean, I guess, and like the reason why the stream matters is you want to hold people's attention, but that's so that you can advertise to them, right? I mean, that's
Gina, it's the opposite is true. It's exactly Google's core competency. Google Plus is nothing more than a search engine. That's all it is. When you go to any stream, any circle, any community, you're looking at a search stream.
Right.
That's a search result. Mm-hmm. That's what Google does. It's a social search engine. That's all Google is. Google Plus.
Right. And when I say it's not the core competency, I'm saying they don't have the usage on Google Plus that Facebook and Twitter and even Instagram has. Like we've seen other social networks flourish usage-wise way beyond what Google Plus has seen. Right. I mean, that's true. It doesn't have the users that these other networks have.
I haven't seen any compelling evidence that Twitter is more active than Google Plus. Among journalists, 95% of journalists and 1/4 of the verified people on Twitter are journalists. Like 95% of journalists are on Twitter. And there's very few journalists on Google Plus, and journalists dominate the space about what the conventional wisdom is. But in actual fact, I think Google Plus is bigger than Twitter and more active.
Really?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I mean,
that baffles me. Well, it doesn't feel that way.
Because it doesn't feel that way, right?
That's because Twitter is an American lake. It's an American thing. Google Plus is radically international. And if you post anything on Google Plus, 80% of your responses are going to be people who live in non-English speaking countries and they're speaking English as a second language and so on. It's a very international, and you actually interact with international people. Facebook is international, but when's the last time you had conversations with people in Egypt and Tasmania and other places on Facebook? You don't. You interact with people who are in your own state almost. So
the thing is, though, if Google Plus's numbers were that good, we would have heard about that from on stage at I/O. You know what I mean? Like Google would be telling us, we've got this many, million active users in a stream, but we never hear those numbers, right? So when you're not hearing those numbers, it makes you think, oh, these numbers must not be so great.
It's super frustrating, and I wish they would release those numbers. But look at Twitter. Go to Twitter and you do a big post and look at the data. They provide the information that Google Plus won't, and look at the engagement on Twitter tweets. It's pathetic.
Well, but that's because the stream is so big and so fast that no individual post is going to get all the attention. You get attention on Google Plus because you're speaking in a very small room. Yeah. And of course you're going to get more attention.
But Mike's right that Twitter's small too.
Well, Twitter's not huge either. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a bunch of German editors around to various, of the hip media startups in New York, and at like 3 spots they said to them, "You're on Twitter." They point out to the world, they're not.
Right.
Yeah. Remember that. You're on Twitter, they're not. And, I think there's a really good point there that if you want to reach people, I've decided, I also helped, I visited Facebook last week and I was blown away by their attitude toward news and everything else. And so I'm trying to, I do move my Twitter feed into Facebook because it's convenient. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm trying to post on Facebook more and understand it better. And it rewards me. I get interaction there. It's good.
So you remind me, Mike, though, of somebody like Robert Scoble who says, "Well, you'd like Facebook better if you were doing it right, or you would like Google Plus better if you were doing it right." I feel like, okay, maybe religion. I'm doing it wrong, but how?
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I feel similarly.
Yeah. How do I do it right? How many people do you circle?
Do I? 5,000 exactly.
You're the maximum.
Maximum. Every time I want to circle somebody, I have to go uncircle somebody else. I hate the limitation.
You want as many people as possible in there.
No, I just try to circle my peer groups. Do you
uncircle rapidly? Like if you start seeing a lot of cat pictures from somebody.
Yeah,
I
block. I block 5 people a day easily. But
you don't block them for cat pictures. You block them for bad stuff.
Anything that bugs me, I block people.
Even if it's like, okay, here's a cat picture. I just don't want to. Why don't you mute that post, or why don't you get rid of that person? You just block the person.
I mostly most of my usage of Google Plus is I create conversations and interact with people about the conversations I've created. I go to the communities
You could use
I've created.
Medium to do that.
Yeah, I could. I absolutely could.
But boy, you won't get much interaction there. I mean, you'll get more now.
Yeah.
But that was the point. You wouldn't get much interaction.
Right. Yeah, but I think you know, it's around the narrower your passion, the more valuable Google Plus is, or the more technical. So if you're an Android fan, Google Plus is heaven. Because there's so many Android fans on Google Plus.
Any Google product is much more popular in Google Plus.
But also, if you are like really into like a certain species of like tropical fish or something like that, Google Plus is also heaven for that too.
And if you're interested in what's the current status of the nation or who just died, you'd go to Twitter.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe it's just different use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, my argument is not that everybody should use Google Plus. I happen to love it. Lots of people don't love it. It's a lot, and especially journalists don't like it. My theory is that, you know, using Google Plus is kind of like being a journalist itself. There's a lot of argument. Everybody attacks everything you say. It's a lot of criticism. There's a lot of long-winded comments and things you have to interact with. It's not easy. It's not light and fun and frivolous like Twitter is. Twitter's like you can toss off a sentence and then people joke around and it's fun and it's light and it goes by, and the stuff that you miss when you were gone, who cares? It's
temporary,
gone. Right. Or Google Plus, you get in there and you feel like you're mired in the quicksand of all this conversation. There's so much. It's too much. And so I think that's why
you must have
hate
millions of followers.
Well,
right?
Here's the thing that's interesting about
I've never been able to get past 500.
I'm on the secret list of, you know, the recommended followers list. But here's the interesting thing: it's gone way up lately. It's growing by like 2,000 or 3,000 a day.
Person really using it.
Well, I mean, it's
the more active you are and the smaller the universe, the more you're going to get.
And I'm not as active as I'd like to. Since I started here at Twitter, I've been trying to be active on all the social networks, and so I'm no longer exclusive to Google Plus.
I went through a period of being really active, hoping to boost my numbers, because I thought, well, maybe if I had more followers, I'd like it better. And it didn't do diddly. I got 10,000 more users over a 6-month period. I am stalled. Both you and Gina and Jeff all have millions of followers. So I don't know what's going on.
What's your number now, Mike?
I'm sorry?
What's your follower number?
It's 4.5
million. 4.5 million.
Yeah, and
9 times more than mine.
But don't you find that the majority of the Twit audience is on Google Plus?
How many Twitter followers do you have?
28,000.
I have 570,000.
Yeah.
So
a lot of it is what you put in is what you get out. But
maybe that's it. And maybe that's why I
also
like Twitter better than. I mean, there's stuff I hate about Twitter, obviously. Although they do seem to be doing a much better job of killing trolls.
They're doing a much better job than they were a year ago, but less of a good job than they were 3 months ago.
Oh.
Yeah, I've noticed that for a while it was like, wow, they're getting rid of trolls in like 2 hours. Now they're back to like maybe they will, maybe they won't, maybe it's a few days. So I think they made a big point of it, and then they started getting flooded with, you know, but one of the great things, like you're using a third-party app right now. I wish Google Plus would finally open a real API and let third-party developers do something interesting.
It could be better if
way better.
Yeah, if they had an API.
Yeah, so there's a lot about Google Plus that really frustrates me, and that's one of them. But I think that, you know, I think if you're into tech, I think Google Plus is a great place. And I know that a lot of, you know, we do this thing on TNT, which is like, you know, how do you watch TNT? Post a picture. Well, it's probably 50-50 Twitter and Google Plus, and nobody does it on Facebook, even though Facebook is by far the biggest social network. So the technology fans, the tech people, are not excited about using Facebook. So that's one point to be considered. But you know, there's a lot of activity among our fans on Google Plus.
All right, every time you're on, we're going to end up talking about Google Plus. So let's stop.
Yeah.
Chat room yelling at us.
Well, it was a relevant,
nobody's yelling at us. It's important to do, but let's stop. By the way, a little Schadenfreude. Apple is recalling the Beats Pill XL speaker because of fire risk. So if you bought one of these, all of them are being returned.
All of them?
230,000 units in North America alone.
Oh, Jeff.
No, is that an XL? That's not the XL. Isn't the XL like huge? Which one do you have?
The big one.
The big one.
Oh, I got the little pill.
Yeah. You got the pill, but it says the pill XL.
Oh, okay. Good.
I don't know what that means.
It is very good.
Yeah.
You know, I have a confession to make.
What?
I'm very unhip about this because I'm older, so I listen to talk, Howard Stern and books and things like that. I'd never really used Spotify.
Oh, I love Spotify. I
started using Spotify, and it's changing.
Do you see?
Yeah, I do.
Do you see
and
now?
I read a great story. Farhad Manjoo had a really nice piece in the Times today where he was saying that Spotify says genres will end. His kids, young, like 2 and 4.
I saw that piece.
This week, they're nuts about Simon and Garfunkel.
Isn't that great? It's just music. They don't know.
It's just music, yeah.
They love it.
30 million songs now.
It's phenomenal.
And of course, Apple is going to.
Google Play Music doesn't.
I still use it.
It doesn't have the curated collections that are as good as Spotify. Yeah. But I'm if Stern leaves Sirius, and I'm thinking, oh, do I stick around with Sirius because I get the radio? I think, no, why?
I'll never know why anybody gets satellite radio. I just don't
Howard Stern.
That's got to be the reason.
That's the only reason.
Because if what you want to do is listen to music, Spotify is infinitely better. Yeah. Infinitely better. Not even close. And the quality on Spotify is infinitely better. I don't. Do you?
Is there a better service than Spotify? In your view, is Pandora better?
No, Spotify's the one.
Yeah.
People talk about Audio and.
Audio's good. I like Google Play.
I'm in this weird place. I tried to use Spotify. I don't really like that desktop client. It's weird. I don't really like the Facebook integration. I was using Google Play Music for a while. I just canceled my All Access subscription.
Did?
I wasn't using enough. So sometimes I listen to Pandora, but it's got the ads, and that's annoying. I don't know. I'm sort of in. Maybe I should revisit Spotify. I'm in a weird. I also just listen to a lot of kids' music all the time because for my daughter, and so I've been coding sort of.
Well, wait a minute. Let me see. Let me see if it has Raffi. Let me see if Baby Beluga. Oh yeah, you got Raffi.
But you don't do random. You just play it over and over and over and over again.
Well, that's the problem, right? Etta says I want Baby Beluga, but you can look at all the Raffi here. You see, you could put this on random, and you got Raffi at the wazoo. Maybe I should just do that. So wait, but it's a subscription. I never actually subscribed. It's $10 a month, like everything else is.
Right. Right.
We had a $7.99 all access. I bet you did too, because we were early adopters. So that's kind of an amazing thing that you canceled that one. Here's one difference that I have to say, and I should disclaimer here. The new Spotify, which is launched right now on iOS if you opt in and will soon be everywhere, includes podcasts, includes all of our podcasts, and includes video. And this is, he also mentions this in the article, Jeff, is a very interesting play because instead of a Netflix-style video, they're basically going to internet video creators and saying, well, how about your shows? It's great for us. I think it's huge.
Yeah.
I think it is a whole new ball game because essentially it's like it's Netflix for internet media. Mm-hmm. And in addition to 30 million songs. So I think it's huge. If you have iOS, go to your settings on iOS. And if you have the latest version of Spotify, you should get a banner that says, would you like to try the new Spotify? Say yes to that, and then click shows, and you'll see not just our stuff, all the stuff. And what's interesting is there have been a few people like us who have attempted to take podcasts from the and you always made this distinction, hobby podcasts versus what we do, to the more professional realm. There's people like the Nerdist and others who are really creating real, I think real content. Yep. And this is going to be very interesting to see what happens because of this. So I confess I have a little bit of a dog in this hunt since Spotify, with its 60 million subscribers, is carrying us, and that makes a big difference for us, I think. I believe
that was part of the reason I tried it.
Great.
But it's also
I will revisit it.
You know what's great is the playlist, and it was fun because I hadn't used it in a while, so I resubscribed, and all my playlists were still there. And there's live playlists too, so you can subscribe to Spotify playlists created by like the BBC, and they continually update it. So it's kind of like Pandora curated.
Right. Here's a question: all the old days when people used to make mixtapes, can you make a mixtape on Spotify and share that? Right, you can.
You bet. You can share the link publicly. I made for Independence Day, I made a Spotify playlist a couple of years ago, which I shared, I think, on Google Plus, ironically. And it's 62 songs. It's 4 hours of This Land Is Your Land. And and I shared this, and I don't know, I don't see the numbers, but there are quite a few people who subscribe to this. And I think that that's one of the things that's also very interesting. The curation is not just from the pros. Yeah. It is from anybody. You know what Andy Anatko did on I loved this on Google Plus. He asked people to add comments to their if they had only one song. They're kind of like the Desert Island Disc. He got 154 songs, and then one of his fans, Fido, put it out as a Spotify playlist. We used to put all the music out from the Tech Guys show that we used in bumpers as a Spotify playlist, so people could listen to the whole song.
Oh, cool!
There's a lot. There's audiobooks. There's a.
It's amazing.
This is a very interesting play, and of course,
you know what? It's another stream. And I'm wondering about the economics of it, because so far I haven't paid, because I'm just seeing what the ad experience is like. And unlike radio, where you had no verification of what ad was listened to, here on a one-to-one basis, you know the ad's listened to, and the revenue share back of that ad, I wonder if it's not a lot more than in the long run than radio.
I can't comment on that.
We hate that when that happens.
I know. I don't normally do this kind of
stuff. I was going to say that never happens.
I know.
No, Gina, the funniest thing last week is we had on Ars Technica.
Ron Amadio.
Thank Ron.
Ron Amadio.
And you know, he knew some stuff beforehand on embargo, and 4 people in a row said, "Don't tell Leo. Don't tell Leo."
That's so funny.
On the air, he got kind of freaked because we got near a topic where he knew something, and we knew that he knew something. And Leo was asking him, and
I love that. I love not having NDAs.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I don't do NDAs as a journalist, but unfortunately, as I'm also a businessman, and as a businessman, in order to do some of the business that we do, like this Spotify thing's been in the works for 6 months. You know how hard it is for me not to say anything.
Yeah.
You're a natural sharer.
Oh, I'm a natural
Your wife
sharer.
comes out ready to gag you.
Well, and Lisa knows more. She is very judicious about what she tells me because she knows stuff, and she says, "I can't tell you because you are a blabbermouth." I like natural sharer much better.
You're a professional blabbermouth.
You're an open book. It's like it's endearing. It's just like naturally you want to tell people about stuff.
I want to tell people about stuff. Plus, I talk for like
what you do.
40 hours a week. I got to say something. Can't say the same old stories over and over again.
Knowledge sharing is a noble calling.
I think that the Spotify thing is just a little part of what is, I'm hoping, going to transform everything. It's what, because it's all internet media, and internet media needs places people can discover it, can play it. Yeah. So this is just one. We have other deals in place. I mean, this is. Tell us
about those.
Well, you know most of them. Stitcher, you know very well. Yes. That's been huge for TNT.
Yes.
Because Stitcher features Tech News Today fairly frequently. Yep. And we see probably a 50% bump in downloads because of that.
Yep. They're huge.
It's huge. There's quite a few. Slacker, TuneIn Internet Radio, huge. In fact, the Amazon Alexa.
Yeah.
If you say listen to TNT or tune into TNT,
it'll do it through TuneIn. Yeah. And the other thing that's great about TuneIn is they have the live stream, which is rare among these services.
So I feel very positive about the transformation that's happening. And the problem for us is, of course, discovery.
Yeah.
We make the best possible product, the best product we can, and we hope people find it. But when people find it, I think they like it, and a certain number of people like it. And that the key for us is finding it.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do? Advertise on ABC? That's not going to work.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. Come back with more. Lots more. Do you want to do a change log? I don't think we prepared one.
The whole show's kind of a change log because of I.O. Yeah. Sorry about that. I tried to put one together, but there actually wasn't enough that we wouldn't cover just through I.O.
Okay, all of you pick something. Because there's so many. I mean, we're only like a third through this.
Yeah.
But we got to get rid of Jeff. When? Soon.
Well, my parents' flight is a bit delayed, so
thank God.
So far,
thank God for snow, or whatever. So you have a little more time because you were supposed to leave now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, good. Thank you.
We'll
take a little break. 17 million Chromecasts.
Yep.
Another good thing for web media, right?
Yeah,
internet media. A really good thing for internet media. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, FreshBooks. Hey, I got to tell you, this is a good thing for anybody who's a independent business person or a freelancer. FreshBooks makes your life a lot easier. It did mine. When I was sending out invoices and I had to send them to Canada and they were in Canadian dollars, it was just a pain in the butt. But FreshBooks takes care of that. Any currency. 5 million people use it now to send out invoices, to let their clients know how much the expenses were, the time and hours, to get paid faster, on the average of 5 days faster, because your client can just press a button in the email and says, pay them. And that uses all the online payment services, makes it very easy for your clients. You want that. And should a client be late pay, no problem. Automatic reminders make sure you don't have to make that awkward phone call, but they pay you. The mobile app is great. Use that to track billable hours. You can even take pictures of receipts so that you can make sure they get in the invoice. And if you ever run into a problem or you have an idea, they're great on that. The FreshBooks supports rock stars are amazing. Right there at the FreshBooks offices. There they are. They're so cute. They're nice. They're Canadian. A real person ready to help you with incredible smiles. I just love FreshBooks. I love all our sponsors. There's just something about FreshBooks. I just adore it. I've been using them for 10 years. Get started right now. Free for 30 days. FreshBooks.com/twig. Don't forget to use the word twig if they ask you, how did you hear about us? Twig. I think there's a place in the form or something. TWIG. Start your 30-day free trial today at FreshBooks.com. Nice people. Nice product. Google said at I.O., 17 million Chromecasts sold. We thought there'd be a Chromecast 2. That was one of the rumors. But you know what's wrong with the Chromecast 1? It's pretty good still, right? 1.5 billion casts. I often choose it as my, you can watch Netflix in 100 ways, but I really like the interface between, using the phone to pick something, which is a better way, frankly, than a remote on the TV, and then casting it. Yeah. And I find myself doing that more and more as more and more apps support it. Yeah. That's right. So
I really like that they quantified it as in touches. Yeah. I thought that was a cool, or taps. It was either taps or touches. Yeah. But they're basically saying casts, right? But it was like, it was a very clear visual, like someone pressed this button.
And with HBO Now coming to them, the Apple exclusive ran out. I think you're gonna. I feel like you're gonna see. You're gonna see more and more stuff, and eventually it's just gonna be. You just have Chromecasts. Do they build it into TVs now? You don't have to buy the little dongle. I think some TVs have it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think so.
That some TVs have it built in. They announced a few API changes too. Like you can queue up things to cast. So you're watching one thing, you can queue up another.
Playlist. Oh, that's
nice.
Playlist.
Yeah. Multiplayer gaming, a second screen. So like you can make your app use the TV as a second screen. So if your device was a remote control, the screen would be the second screen. And yeah, multiplayer game power. So really kind of turning it into a game console.
Yeah, and Sony and Samsung and other TVs do have it built in. Yeah, why not?
Anything with Android TV in it would have Chromecast as well, right? Who's doing Android? Sony? Is it Sony now that's doing Android TV on all their? I can't remember.
Yeah, I believe Sony.
I think so. Yeah,
I think so.
I'm excited about Android TV. Is that going to be? The Shield looks really they handed that out, believe it or not. If you went to the right session at Google I/O,
the day before it all started.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was on the Wednesday, from what I understand.
Oh, they had sessions on a Wednesday.
No,
huh?
Intel or Nvidia had their own thing going on the prior.
I want to buy that Shield. That looks like the right Android TV.
Yeah, it's a little more expensive, but I agree, it's the right one.
All right, and this isn't the flip up.
No, this is a set
thing.
top,
This is a separate. Okay, set top.
It's a new product from Nvidia, running on their, that what is it, K1 or X1 processor, the K1 processor. They're not selling that on the. I'm looking on the Play Store to see. They have Chromecast, Nexus Player, Gamepad. Yeah, $200. Yeah, but really, that's twice as much as a Roku, for instance. Boy, it's a lot more capable.
Well, and for, what is it, $50 extra? I can't remember if it's
storage
50 or
too, right?
Yes, right, 500 gigs of storage. Which
what would you do with that?
I mean, that's a lot of storage. But I mean, when you're talking set top, entertainment, the Nexus Player comes with what, 16?
Oh,
gigs?
so you would put apps on here?
Yeah, so that would be apps, and I imagine you could do offline storage of your media and stuff too.
$200 for the 16 gigabyte version. it's hard to know whether you need the 500. But the 500 is $299, and it's available, released June 12th, and you could get the 16 gig version today. Oh, I'm so tempted. It's Amazon Prime and everything.
It's just there, all buy me now.
4K support
with a button that's easy to.
Google
man,
Cast support.
What are you gonna do?
One click.
Voice commands.
Button. You've got to.
Well, you would get the 500 gig if you were going to game, for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm going to game. What apps have to sit in
little click, Leo.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Why is it showing that I can also put a micro SD card in there? Does it support micro SD?
Good question.
Yes, it does. So you could add, maybe you could add some memory.
128 gigs of SD card is what Jacquard is saying. So, yeah.
Yeah, why? So maybe I'll get the 16 gig. And if I feel like I need more down the road, I can always do that. Yeah. I have micro SD lying around all over the place. In fact, it'd be better to add, and you can add other USB storage. All right, then get the 16 gig version, and you could just put an extra hard drive or something. Okay, I'll just, let me just click buy now. Oh, sorry, whoops.
It happens.
Buy now happens. There's a controller. Does it come with
I believe it comes with one controller, yes.
And one remote, and you can buy extras.
Or it comes with a controller or a remote. I can't remember.
But you have an Android Wear watch. You don't need a controller.
Can I do it with an Android Wear watch?
You can.
I could talk to my TV with my watch?
I think I don't know about talking, but...
So, yeah, the Shield Android TV comes with one controller. So I don't believe it comes with the remote.
The remote. Well, I'll let you know when I get it on Friday. Ha! Okay.
That's all it took.
That's all it took. I got a problem. I admit it. I got a problem. They talked about Loon and how well Loon's doing. That's nice.
You know, people were cheering for a lot of the facts that they trotted out about Loon, and those are old facts. That they didn't announce anything new. They're doing better with how many days the balloons can be in the air and stuff. They were shattering records a year ago on that.
Yeah.
So, but it's it's everything that the mesh networking, all the rest is essentially what they've been talking about for many months. So it wasn't a lot of new stuff. It's just they're doing a little better all the time, I guess.
Patriot Act kind of extended, but kind of not as bad.
Well, I think this is really big news.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it's great, and I think that damn it, Edward Snowden's a hero. He's a whistleblower.
Yeah,
and he's changed the discussion as much as anything.
Yep.
And
he's got to feel good about this.
I think the demagogues in Congress can't have it both ways. They can't voluntarily choose to change U.S. law based on what Snowden revealed and also say he's a traitor. Court cases are citing, explicitly saying this is Edward Snowden, caused this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be fixing this problem. So I think that anybody who calls him a traitor in Congress and also votes to change the law based on which they wouldn't have done if they didn't know what he revealed, they're just full of crap.
I do need some help though, because like Ars Technica said, what? The Patriot Act, it's been extended, so snooping continues. Let the snooping resume. Senate revised Patriot Act surveillance measures. The New York Times said, U.S. surveillance in place since 9/11 sharply limited. Which is it?
Yeah, the coverage has been confusing.
Did we win or did we lose?
Did we win or did we lose? Yeah, like what happened?
So we won
something.
So look, the Patriot Act was going to get extended in some form or fashion.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. So, I mean, yes, the clock ran out, but that didn't mean the Senate then says, "Okay, we give up." They're gonna continue on. The House had passed what was the U.S. Freedom Act, USA Freedom Act, which did sharply limit the kind of phone snooping they could do, the mass collection of phone data,
right?
With some additional checks and balances, but did allow it to continue. So when the Patriot Act, those sections, the 3 sections of Patriot Act expired, including 215, that actually did end phone surveillance.
Well,
but the bill, the USA Freedom Act, instituted it with better protections.
Exactly. Specifically, the biggest protection is that instead of the NSA having physical a possession of an unfettered access to these the metadata, phone metadata, where somebody's like, I wonder what my ex-girlfriend's up to, and they could just type it in and get the get information. They now that data is now in the hands of the telecoms, and when the NSA wants to get access to it, they have to go through a procedure and get a judge's approval and all the rest. So that's a big deal in that one area of mass surveillance, and it's an upgrade, it's an improvement, but still by and large.
So now the phone company collects.
But I think that it's less of a. I think that there's been so much press since the Edward Snowden revelations that any terrorist worth his salt at all is not going to be ignorant about the collection of mass metadata. So I think it's been spoiled already for the NSA. Yeah. And so I don't think this is anything worse for them in any event. I don't think that the benefits are still there for them.
Mitch McConnell, of course, said, one more tool has been taken away from those who defend our country every day.
He lost.
Well, he lost, but he also didn't really lose it. In fact, I almost feel like I'm a cynic. He played the game. All right, we want to hold on to this. They got what they got. There's still plenty of authority.
Yeah, there's still plenty of things for them to do. And the phone company is still holding on to all this data.
Yeah, it's not like nobody's collecting your data. Oh. Yeah, they're collecting it. It's not like those judges on the FISA court are that, standing up for our rights, are they? I don't think they can.
Well, but now they have to at least listen to an outsider. Now more of that can be made open.
Better.
I mean, it was baby steps.
Yeah. If I were John C. Dvorak, I'd probably say, it's all theater. By the way, speaking of security theater, you saw the feds tested the TSA.
Yeah.
Trying to get guns and bombs past them. 95% got by.
I saw a lot of photos that people took. They received the news while they're sitting in the airport waiting for a flight. They're thinking, oh, great.
So essentially, much like the mass collection of phone data, the TSA is completely ineffectual.
Yes.
Well, maybe they catch 1 in 20 guns.
They're the perfect government program. They're completely ineffectual and super expensive.
And annoying as heck.
Yeah.
Yeah, expensive and time wasted too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like for consumers.
For the economy.
My sister, who's accompanying my parents up here for our daughter's graduation, she texted me just a little while ago. My father carries a money clip that he's had for 50 years. And there's a little tiny blade in it. Money clip's that big, right? $16, he had to mail it back to himself, so he's grumbling all the way up.
and that's the point, is that the TSA found his freaking money clip, but the guy with the gun went right through because he put it on it. It's like...
Right, my 90-year-old father in a wheelchair with a money clip. We got him! We got him!
Well, and it's even worse than that. There have been studies that have found that because of the number of people who've avoided flying and instead drove, because of all the hassles of security around flying, the number of people who have died in car accidents that wouldn't have died is higher than the number of people killed on 9/11. So all of this security theater is killing people at a higher rate than the terrorists are.
Oh my! That is the most depressing thing I've heard.
But what? Don't bring that bottled water onto the flight.
Yeah. Drink that breast milk. Just prove it to us. Come on, just have a sip. Come on.
I love. There's this wonderful cartoon. I don't recall, unfortunately, who the cartoonist was, but basically they said, this bottled water could be an explosive. I'm just going to put it here in this bin full of other potential explosives that's surrounded by hundreds of people.
Yeah, that's a good place to stick it. But just for the TSA people watching, the Homeland Security officials who are watching this show, I love it. Keep up the good work. You're doing a great job. Thanks. I'll be on the plane next week. Keep up the good work.
I do have to say, the poor guys were there on the front line. And I don't want. I got to go to the airport, so I'm not going to get a 9/11 riff. But there is some level that we do need, and I do salute it happening to some extent.
We know, we're not willing. We know what needs to be done, but we're not willing to do it because El Al does it. Mm-hmm. And it's a personal questioning of everybody before they get on the plane.
Yeah.
And with really well-trained security professionals. But we're willing to take off our shoes, but I'm not sure. I mean,
we're all, every country in the world will eventually be Israel.
Yeah,
we're getting to that.
We're all Team Israel.
They're way ahead of the curve there on all that stuff.
I'm so sorry. I love the TSA. Actually, I do. Lisa left her iPad on a plane. We had gotten out of the. By the way, this is not the right word. The word you use, sanitized area, is not the correct word. But can you stop it? It's not sanitized in any way. But we exited the.
Makes you nauseous.
Makes me feel better that it's clean. No, it's not. We left the sanitized area, and Lisa wanted to get her iPad because she knew where it was. And they said, no, you're now in public.
Yeah, you crossed the line.
And the airport's shutting down, so all the TSA agents were going home. So there's no way to go through security. And a very kind TSA agent said, all right, hold on. Let me go back to the gate and see if you left it there. Went back, got it, brought it to her. She gave him a big hug and kiss. So they're nice people.
I'm sure that was a violation of the law.
And I bet you anything he could have lost his job for doing that. Yeah. I said I would let you all pick stories. Anybody?
I think we've covered it. I looked through. I can't find anything we haven't covered. You actually covered most of it.
We skipped around, but I mean, we didn't talk about Android Pay a whole lot, but there's not really a whole lot to say.
We already have Android Pay. It was called Google Wallet. Now Google Wallet will be peer-to-peer payment, like Venmo, and Android Pay will be Google Wallet.
Right.
End of story.
Yep.
Okay,
that's
it's a good story. I like a Google Wallet. Keep doing it. Called Android Pay.
That was quick.
Anything else?
Yeah. Good work.
Nope. I probably need to go in about 5 anyway. So.
Okay. Well, let me do a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll let you start with your number of the week, and then we'll wrap these things up. You're watching This Week's in Google with Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York. Newark.
I'm actually going to Newark Airport.
Go to Newark. Mr. Mike Elgan from TNT, our news director. By the way, Mike will join me on Monday. 10 a.m. Pacific. I will start a little earlier, right? As soon as you're done with TNT.
Yep.
For the Apple keynote at WWDC.
Right. And I'm hoping we'll do what Tim Cook does in that when we really want to emphasize something, we'll talk really quiet.
It gets very
slow.
Quiet. I once interviewed Kenneth Branagh, the great actor. And in the movie Henry V, he plays the king. And he talks like that. And I said, Kenneth, why are you talking like that? And he said, because the king doesn't have to talk loud. In fact, the quieter the king talks, the more the courtiers listen.
And that's true of Tim Cook as well.
True for Tim Cook as well. Gina Trapani from smarterware. I'm sorry, forget smarterware. ThinkUp.com. And MakerBase, MakerBay.se.
MakerBay.se.
I love MakerBase. When are you going public? When are you doing that?
We're lining up a few things for launch right now. I think it's going to be end of a month or so.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
As somebody whose website was supposed to launch 3 days ago, I understand.
You understand. Yeah.
I understand. Our show today brought to you by LegalZoom. Oh, man, if you are a business person, the next Steve Jobs. You know, it's funny. When Apple was formed, remember it was Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and this guy Ron Wayne, who put in money and stuff. And he said, you know what, guys? They brought him in as a business person who understood stuff. He said, I don't want to be part of this because you guys are not incorporated, and I'm the only guy with assets. So please take this back. I don't want it. He's be worth $10 billion right now. But that's a very good point. If you're forming a business, and you know what? This was a lesson I learned when we started Twit. Form an LLC or a corporation. You may say, I can't afford a law firm. That's why you go to LegalZoom. They're not a law firm, but they can help you get this paperwork done that helps you start your business, protects your assets, protects your house, maybe keeps your partners involved. And if you need advice from an independent attorney, they can connect you. It's really a great system. Incorporate or form an LLC, trademark your products or services. I did that too. I did a trademark on the name Twit and the service mark for the logo. If you've got a patent, you can register, apply for a patent or secure your invention. This is an incredible thing. Over the last 10 years, more than 1 million people have used LegalZoom to start their businesses, to turn their ideas into a reality. And you can do the same for a lot less than you think. Protect your family, too, with a will and more. That's what we did. Go to LegalZoom.com to get started. They can even help if you have a great idea, but you don't know where to begin. Now, they're not a law firm, but you can get advice from LegalZoom's network of independent attorneys in most states. Attorneys where you can read the profile, you can see the unedited reviews and choose the right one for you, and the price is right. Pre-negotiated low flat rates. You can get the guidance you need to get your great idea off the ground right now. LegalZoom.com. Make the right choice for your business. LegalZoom.com. And please do me a favor, use the offer code TWIG at checkout for a special discount this month. LegalZoom.com. Promo code is TWIG. Jeff Jarvis, your number of the week.
Oh, yeah, it was quick.
I'm going to do that so that you will get out of here. You know.
Thank you. I know. Yeah. I should have prepared more. I've got all these numbers. Let's see which one do I want. Which one do I want? Oh, okay. Well, no, this one.
I got one. Okay.
$150 off your Nexus 6.
Nice. Where's my Google Fi invite?
To do with the Fi. I know. I have no Fi. I keep looking at my email.
Tony Wang, our editor.
I got one.
What?
I got a Google Fi.
They said it's going to be
days ago.
Late summer.
So, Mr. iPhone.
With your Nexus and my invitation, imagine what we could accomplish.
This is a problem Tony had, too. So I think this confirms what we had said, that people who are getting the invitations are not Nexus owners. They want you guys to buy Nexus.
Oh, those dirty
Wait. Can you buy a Fi invitation on eBay?
Tony, you said no. He wants to. He says, I think I'll stick with AT&T. They emailed you again?
They told me I forgot to sign up.
You forgot to sign up?
Yeah.
And you forgot to buy a Nexus 6 as well. What are you sporting there? What is that? 1+1. A 1+1. No wonder.
That's
Can't
why.
help you.
Exactly.
You're an iPhone. Yeah, I'll bring in the Nexus 6. You want to sign up for it?
Absolutely.
All right. Accept that Fi.
It could be like...
But wait a minute. That'll happen, and then I'll get an invitation. And I'll be angry.
Well, it happens.
You know, I already have AT&T, Sprint, and T-Mobile. And Verizon.
You'll have a complete set.
I don't need another phone carrier.
Collect them all.
How about this? I got a number for you, Jeff. $100,000.
I'll take it.
That's the bounty WikiLeaks is offering for details on the trade treaty.
Yeah.
The secret.
Yeah.
How can the president sign a secret trade treaty? Does he not work for us?
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Do they say, well, we would tell you, but if we told you, it wouldn't what? It wouldn't be right. Or we wouldn't be able to get the deals we were going to get because we're secret. Or
ridiculous.
No. You know what? If they told us, we'd be angry.
Yep.
That's why.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna depart.
See you, Jeffrey.
Thank you for letting me off.
Bye, Jeff. Have a good one.
Gina. Come back sooner. Mike, always good to see you.
Good luck with TSA.
Love you, my friend. Yeah.
Hope they don't watch the show.
That's not the same Jeff Jarvis. It's a different one.
I'm just picking up.
You're on the list now.
Oh, wow. He left.
He's gone.
Gina. Hi, Gina.
Hi.
Do you have a tip or anything for us?
Well, my tip is a little bit of a rehash, but something that got announced at Google I/O. I get asked this question all the time: is like, how do I learn to be a developer? Well, Google announced this nano degree, this Android nano degree in a partnership with Udacity, and I was checking it out. It is really cool. They actually have a readiness assessment to see whether or not you're kind of where you need to be. And this isn't kind of a zero to hero thing. This is like you have to have a little bit of coding experience. You have to know how to use Git. You have to understand object-oriented programming. But this particular nano degree, and it's a big commitment. It's like 10 hours a week for 9 to 12 months. But at the end, I mean, the goal is to get you to be a hireable Android developer. That's the nano degree that they announced. But Udacity also just has a ton of other totally free Android courses and free courses that can get you kind of from starting to be a beginner off the ground. And it really looks like they're kind of up on, with this partnership with Google, up on kind of the latest and greatest of Android development techniques and tools and stuff. So I just looks really cool. If you've ever been interested in or wanted to become an Android developer, definitely check out the Udacity offerings. You don't even have to do the supercharged 12-month nano degree that costs $200 a month. There's a ton of free material there too that can get you started. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And if you want to do the readiness assessment, it's just a few questions and they'll kind of tell you, oh yeah, it looks like you're right for this, or maybe you should check out some of this other material that's more for beginners or for people who have less time or whatever. So I was really impressed with it when I checked it out.
And I apologize because I mocked it because of the name during our live stream. I said, when's the Pico degree and the Femto degree? No.
It minimizes it. Yeah,
it does minimize it. I apologize.
12 months of 10 hours a week. Like, this nano degree just seems like a bad... No, that was maybe a marketing mistake on their part. Nano degree seemed like a bad
Yeah, a number of people wrote to me and said, this is a great program, and I'm really benefiting. And, I had to take a lot of courses, and it's by no means, a diminutive degree. It's a good degree.
It's not a walk to the park, yeah.
So I apologize. Good on you, nano degree. And do you go to udacity.com? Is that the place to go to find out more?
Yeah, I think it's udacity.com/Google. I probably should be on the front page. Since this was a big announcement.
Yeah. Put it on the front page. I wonder if I'd qualify. I should take the qualification because I have no training. I'd like to find. I love programming. I want to.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions like, hey, look at these two methods. Which one do you think would work? Just kind of to get a sense of where your programming are at and stuff. So yeah, it's worth taking.
Leo, you need to take the femto degree.
There's this they have this little video of these two folks saying, there are going to be times when you're going to get stuck and your code's not going to work and it's going to be really frustrating. And that doesn't mean that failure is happening. That's what just learning feels like. I mean, it's very
funny they have to do that. Yeah, but that's right.
But it's true. It's really true. Most of my workday is spent feeling extremely frustrated because the thing I'm trying to get to work doesn't work. And that is just a part of being a coder. So I really like their approach to it. I felt like they couched it in very, they explained it very well.
Mike Elgan, you have a tool or a tip or anything you'd like to share with us?
I do. I have a tool that was inspired by your clothing.
The Great Suspender.
The Great Suspender.
Wait a minute, I got to look it up here.
This has actually been around for a couple of years, but I don't think enough people know about this, and I certainly didn't know about it until very recently, maybe 3 weeks ago. Here's what it does. We all know that Chrome is a pig and gobbles up tons of memory, especially if you have a tab addiction like I do. I typically run 20, 30, 40, 50 tabs open at once, and it just gobbles up memory and slows my whole system down. So what the Great Suspender does is it removes the content of tabs out of memory and retains the tab. So for example, if you've got 30 tabs open, you can set a timer. For example, I set mine for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the tab goes to sleep, essentially, and it's removed from memory. And so the ones that I'm actively using, the tabs, they're alive, they're just normal tabs, but the ones that I've been neglecting for more than 15 minutes are removed from memory, and the performance is amazing. Both my wife's MacBook and mine, we are both using it, and we don't even use our fans anymore. Our fans never kick in anymore. And so it's the most fantastic, and it's very flexible too. There are other extensions like this, but this is the most flexible one because you can say, okay, on this website, never suspend this website. On this particular tab, I'll leave this open for now, or unsuspend all tabs, suspend all tabs. You can do anything. And here's the other good part. When you've got, let's say you've got 3 tabs open and 10 tabs that are suspended when you shut down your system. When you come back and boot it back up, it's still in that state. Those 10 tabs are still suspended, and those 3 tabs are still active. It's really great. You can just install the extension and forget about it, and you're just going to have better performance.
That's sweet.
Yep.
Or you could just close tabs.
You could, but that's not going to happen, Leo. We both know that's not going to happen.
I close tabs. It's so weird because you see people like you and, God, Gibson.
Yeah.
Chris, apparently, our intern. You can't even read the tabs because there's so many of them. They're the size of a fingernail.
Yeah.
All across your page.
You can't even see the little speaker to know what the noise is.
You don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah. Once you can't see the speaker, I'm closing tabs.
Yeah.
I'm cleaning that up.
Okay. I just think look how many tabs I got. 2.
There's another extension called One Tab that will take all of your open tabs and it will put them all as links into a single tab.
I'm doing a show here, and I only got 1 tab. As I do news stories, I close the tab when we're done with it.
No.
Leo, you and I have the same tab personality. I think that tab management is probably really expressive. What kind of person you are?
You need to close your tabs if you're going to have tabs. You got to close your tabs.
Close it up.
Tabs are fantastic. I love tabs. I guess you want a cool tab trick? Wunderlist from Sechs Wunderkinder in Berlin was just sold to Microsoft. You and I, who was it? No, because Gina has her own to-do list program. I should use To-Do Text. I love it. I've used them all. Remember the Milk, AnyDo. But I started using Wunderlist because it was very, very cross-platform, including this. It has a Chrome extension that when I open a new tab, my to-do list pops up. That's a good way to make sure you do your to-do list, right? And you can add to-do lists there. So Wunderlist, I don't know what Microsoft's going to do with it, but they bought Sunrise and they bought Acompli and they didn't kill either of them. So I'm hoping hoping that won't go away because it's a really nice to-do list. Almost as good as Gina Trapani's to-do.text.
No, I think it's a little more user-friendly than having to use the command line to add to-dos.
But that's why I like user.text. It's a command line to-do list. Now that's hot.
Yeah.
That's the new hotness.
Let's make this as hard to use as possible.
I've been using the Emacs to-do and organizer. There's a great PIM in Emacs. It's just great. Gina, thank you so much. Please come back.
Absolutely, I will. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. It was really fun to talk over Google I/O with you last week and to recap today.
Oh, we adore you. You were on All About Android last night. If people haven't heard that yet, you must listen.
I was. We had a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun.
It's a great show. I just have to put that on my schedule so I listen every night because I listen after the fact, but I should listen before I do Twig. So thank you. Thank you for doing a great show.
Thanks for having me.
The host of that. It's good to have you here. Please come back. If you have to wait a month, I understand, but anytime. We'll keep the TV set warm for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I should just put a sign on it that says only for Gina.
Yeah.
Gina's
Gina's
TV set.
Gina can.
For those listening, Gina comes in via a little TV set there.
I guess you can have other guests on while I'm not around. I guess.
I don't want to.
Aw. You're too nice.
To. And thanks to Michael Elgan, TNT. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. 1700 UTC, your daily dose of tech news with the best tech journalists in the business.
That's right.
It is all you need to listen to if you really want to keep up on what's going on in the world of technology. That's for sure.
That's right.
And you'll be back, I know, on Monday, 10 a.m. WWDC. See what Apple has to say, especially about photos. I feel like Google just, boom.
Yeah. They won't
sucker punch.
They won't have a good response to it.
They can't.
No.
It's only been a week.
Yep.
I thank you all for joining us. We do the live version. If you want to watch it behind the scenes, we do the live version of this show, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 2000 UTC at live.twit.tv every Wednesday, Wednesday. But you can also get on-demand versions at twit.tv/twig or wherever you get your favorite internet shows, including, yes, now Spotify. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Twig.